Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Gate. We are roughly 2 days away from opening day right here at Spillane Field against Hyannis. Rayna Magalette joined alongside Josh Richardson and Cory Miller. Guys, yesterday the Gatemen had their first practice of the season, and today they actually have a scrimmage against Falmouth. Talk to me a little bit about the players. We've done countless hours of research on these guys, and we're looking forward to seeing them play today. What is kind of like your players that you were looking out for this season?
So there's a few, and mainly I'm going to stay in the infield and I'm going to go in the outfield. Pitching is going to be great. We know that. There's a bunch of returning pitchers. I want to highlight some of the newer guys to begin with. And the first guy that I'm going to highlight, Rylan Luho, is an infielder from Dayton, rising sophomore at Dayton. His freshman year with the Flyers was outstanding. He hit over 360. His OPS was nearly 1,000. He had 27 extra base hits. Those are the type of numbers that you like to see as a freshman, whose game is only going to keep developing, keep growing, especially over the summer, playing in a wood bat league against the best players in the country at the collegiate level. And this is a guy who, from high school, has been surrounded in a winning baseball culture. Stoneman Douglas High School, his high school, down in Florida. 4 state championships his 4 years, 3 national championships. He knows what it takes to win. It's things like that can translate so well to a summer baseball league. I'd really keep an eye out for Rylan Luho this summer.
I think especially with the high-level competition that we have here on the Cape, he's prepared. Although he is young,
he's used to it.
He's used to it. He knows what to expect, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him play right here in Spillane Field.
Absolutely. You're talking about a guy who through late April was second in all of D1 in hits and was at the top earlier in the season in terms of all D1 in hits. So he's someone Ryan Smythe could pencil in anywhere in that order, immediately going to boost wherever he hits, top of the lineup, middle of the lineup, bottom of the lineup. He's providing hits wherever he is.
And the one thing is with him, though, is defense does leave a little bit to be desired. He had the 8th most errors in the A10 last season. He was fifth worst fielding percentage as well. So definitely keep an eye on him, maybe in a designated hitter role. When he is in the field, keep an eye out for him. See where that defense leads him, how much playing time he can use, and to try and use whatever playing time he has to really work on his fielding, his defense, and make things, especially if he's over at third base. That's a lot of where errors can come from sometimes when you're in the infield. Watch out for the throws, make sure he keeps everything on line, and just has a great defensive season overall. We know he's going to hit. The question is, how good is that defense going to translate as well at this level?
I think seeing him as DH would definitely be a dominant position for him. I'm curious to see where Smythe puts him up there in the lineup this season.
Absolutely.
So my player to look out for, the first one, I'm going to talk about Antonio Jimenez. He is a second-year returner to the Gatemen, dominated last year. He transferred out of Miami. He's now at University of Central Florida. Completely killed it over there. He had 23 runs out of his 26 hits. He is on the Brooks Wallace Award watch list, which is an award for one of the best shortstops in the country. And he started and played 55 games at shortstop. He very dominant. I think that spot is perfect for him. He did fantastic last year for the Gatemen. Really good in double plays, and that's exactly what we need. I think especially now with our newly renovated infield from gravel to dirt. I'm curious to see how he performs with that change, because he was so dominant last year with gravel, which is a little bit harder to play on, but now to see him play on dirt, I think it's only going to make him better, only going to make him more successful, especially playing with this high-level competition here. I'm curious to see what he takes away from this summer and what he benefits off of.
Especially coming out of a breakout season at UCF, right? I mean, at Miami, 2 years ago, he hit 182 at an on-base of 300. Last season, 329 batting average, on-base of over 400.
Yes.
So last season, at UCF, batting average higher than his on-base percentage at Miami. So it's numbers like that when you have a breakout season offensively can kind of translate to where you are defensively if you're already solid. I mean, the Stone Dust was difficult last season. It has been difficult. And, for base runners, especially sliding into second and third, for defenders in that middle infield, can be tricky trying to play that. But now you get used to playing on the same surface that you played at college your whole level while you just had your offensive breakout season. I mean, his confidence can't be any higher coming into the summer.
I do want to highlight the change that you brought up, that how much he's grown from when he was at Miami last summer. Grown tremendously, as we saw in the spring at UCF. I'm curious to see how he kind of dominates the Gatemen this year and what role he really plays here, I think he has a really bright summer ahead of him and some really good competition to really benefit off of.
Yeah.
Well, and Josh talked about that confidence. I think that's going to be big when you have guys coming in from around the country, a grueling program stretch this past spring. He's someone, when you look at the numbers, how well he hit, he's going to be feeling really good about things offensively, defensively. I think that confidence is big early on for any player, but in setting the tone for the Gatemen right out of the gate to rack up some wins earlier in the season. And you look at that stat line we touched on a little bit, but the 329 average, drove in 51 runs, 11 homers, stole 11 bags, can do it all. Whether that's running, whether that's defense, whether that's hitting for power, an all-around guy. And again, I talked about it earlier with Josh, with your guy, can hit anywhere in the lineup. So another weapon for Ryan Smythe at his disposal.
And you want to talk about, setting a tone and being, assertive in the lineup. 24-game on-base streak this season, 12-game hitting streak for UCF. So you want to talk about a guy that you can kind of pencil in anywhere, who's going to be consistent, who's going to be, depended upon in this Gatemen lineup. This is a premier guy in Antonio Jimenez.
Absolutely. Cory, what guy are you looking out for the season?
So you guys went the position player hitter route.
Yes.
Off the bat here, I'm going the pitcher route, and a guy who is a returner in Jacob Faulkner, who just finished up his career at Princeton. He's a Vandy grad transfer, and that name is going to sound familiar to Gatemen fans. Had a 1.90 ERA out of the bullpen for the Gatemen last year. Was a Cape League All-Star, had another great year at Princeton after really just tremendous junior. Had a 3.14 ERA last year, 4.14 this past spring. He brings so many great qualities to this Gatemen team, one of which I think is that he can do it all, whether that's giving you a start on the mound. He's pitched 9 innings multiple times this year. He averaged just over 3. But he can also be, as he was last year for the Gatemen, your back end of the bullpen piece and close games. So whether you need a starter, whether you need a reliever, he can do it all. And I think he adds a valuable returning arm for the Gatemen.
Absolutely. We saw him here last year, so this is a familiar name to Wareham and a really strong one. You hear Jacob Faulkner, you're like, oh, great, we want to see him on the mound. Last year he put up a less than 1 whip, which is incredible in his 23 2/3 innings pitched. So I'm excited to see how he is doing. Obviously Vandy grad, so he has that experience in high-level competition, playing with some of the best coaches, some of the best players in the country, graduate from Princeton. He has a lot of experience. He has seen high-level competition firsthand. He's seen some great batters, which is exactly what we have here at the Cape League. So I'm excited to see how he pitches this season up on the mound.
And especially for pitchers, right? And
Yes.
I think comparatively, when you think about position players and you think about pitchers, the conditions of the field are so important for pitchers, whether it be how the mound is, the bullpen quality, different, intangible things like that can really dictate how a pitcher is on the mound, his comfortability, his confidence, and, maybe you move away from the stone dust infield. Maybe you have a little bit more confidence in your defense if that was something you were worried about, how that was going to play, different field conditions like that, and just being used to this area, the surrounding piece that is Spillane Field. He's already been here before. He knows what it takes, and he performed very well. So there should be no difference. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He should perform well out the gate. If he doesn't, he'll get right back used to it and get right back into the thick of things.
He's pitched well in the big games at the Cape last season, and he's also done that in college as well, even playing in Ivy League schedule. He's played against the Miamis, the Wake Forest. I even think back to a time, not this past spring, but 2 springs ago, against Cornell. Princeton needed to win 2 games to keep their Ivy League tournament hopes alive. He pitches 12 total innings, gets the win in game 1, gets the save in game 2. So again, that speaks his versatility and big game mentality. He can do it all, and he's ready for whatever the other team has to throw at him.
Absolutely. So next, I want to talk about Chris McHugh. We have an infielder from North Carolina State University, transfer out of Virginia Commonwealth University. This is his first season on the Cape, so this is his debut. Really excited to look at him. I don't know how much of his stats you guys have seen. He played for the Appalachian League last summer, and he had a batting average of 365.
Yeah.
He has the batting support that he needs, that strength. He has it all. He's, again, well-rounded. We've talked about a lot of well-rounded players here. he is definitely one to look out for. He's new to this league, and I think he's going to have a really strong path to the success of the Gatemen this year. What are your guys' thoughts on him? What do you know about him? What have you seen?
Well, he started really well at NC State this past year. He had 27 hits in his first 18 games. I think the only issue that's, may bug some Gatemen fans, he's not going to be here for the absolute start of the season.
Yeah.
From what we know, he should arrive, the weekend of the 22nd, around that point in time. But we don't, know for sure until he actually steps foot here at Spillane Field. But when he is here and he is on the field, it's going to be a big leap for the Gatemen to have, and a very good, quality hitter. 12 doubles, 7 home runs, 48 RBIs. Those numbers, they don't lie. Everything that you want him to do as a hitter, he can. And that's important for this team. So when he gets here, he'll be a spark plug immediately. You can plug him in anywhere, and he's going to be crucial for this lineup.
NC State has produced some pretty good baseball players over the years. And
you think?
I did.
Yeah, okay.
I just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And I think Chris McHugh really has a chance to be one of those great baseball players. Josh listed that stat line. The 7 home runs. When you're leading a team like NC State in RBIs with 48, that just really speaks to your ability to drive in runs, but also hit off of some of the top arms in the country, in the ACC. And again, you think about the first base position, I think the first thing that comes to my mind is offense. You want a guy who can hit for pop, drive in runs. That's exactly what these numbers speak to in Chris McHugh. He's done it in the ACC, and I don't have any doubt that he's going to be able to translate that into Cape League play.
Well, not only does he have a team high of 48 RBIs, he also leads NC State with 72 hits, 12 doubles, and 7 home runs. So he has it all. Yes, RBIs obviously, but he has that batting strength that he needs. He has the offense, and he has it defensively. He was ranked at 45 for first baseman in D1 baseball midseason player rankings. So again, a really well-rounded guy. I'm curious to see how he performs against such high-level competition. He's seen it at NC State, but the Cape, this is something completely different. I have strong hopes for him. I think he really can do it, but I think he might surprise and turn a lot of heads this summer.
So I'm going to stay on the infield route, and I'm going to move over back to that position that I was talking about with Rylan Luho earlier. Third base, anywhere on the infield, Colby Turner can play, but primarily Colby Turner at that corner spot in the infield. Rising junior at Michigan this upcoming season, just finished his sophomore year, transferred in from San Diego State after his freshman year, and he raked with the Aztecs. 361 batting average and an over 1,000 OPS. So, you can't hide those numbers. This is a guy that can perform at the highest level. For Michigan, getting used to his surroundings, getting ready for that Power 4 play, didn't perform as well necessarily, still had 16 extra base hits and slugged almost 450. So those numbers, this is a guy that can really come in. He can help this Gatemen team. And, I can get into, some of this fun stuff. But, he performed very, very well with San Diego State in the Mountain West. That's a difficult conference still. It may not be a Power 4, it may not be the Big Ten, but it's still a very good conference in Division I. So getting his confidence back up to that level that he was playing at SDSU, that's going to be crucial for Wareham this summer, and he can really perform well for the Gatemen.
You've seen his ability, whether it's at SDSU or Michigan, to really play all around. I know, Josh, you're talking about where you can kind of see him playing, but he's a guy, you think ultimate utility man, I think of Colby Turner, whether that's the infield, whether that's the outfield, and his guys are kind of coming in and out of Wareham, and Ryan Smythe is really trying to figure out who he's got for the long haul. Colby Turner is going to be that guy who I think, if he's a little light at a position, whether that's middle infield, corner infield, outfield, he's someone who can fill whatever void Ryan Smythe may have on a day-to-day basis across a number of positions.
And that's exactly what coaches love, and that is such a big role, and that players look out, or coaches look out for every single day, is to have that well-rounded guy that wherever you need them, they can be. And I think that's exactly what he has. He is a returner. He played last year here on the Cape. Did pretty well. I would say he did fairly well. He did better last regular season in Michigan over the spring. I'm curious to see how he does. Again, we talked about comfortability constantly. We have a good amount of returners. We're talking about a good amount of returners in this podcast today. A big thing is that comfortability. They know the coaching system. They know the field. They know the Cape Cod League atmosphere. Again, that is a huge benefit that they have, because jumping from, say, the Northwoods League to the Cape, that's a big jump. High-level competition, it's a big jump. But coming back to the Cape, doing it again, I think that's a big benefit that a lot of these players have, and that is really going to really going to support them throughout the summer. So I'm curious to see how this looks for him. Again, he's coming back. I'm excited.
Yes. And both of you mentioned, utility, plugging in anywhere, being able to for Ryan Smythe when it comes time to put him anywhere in that lineup. And it's important, Cory, you talked about, people coming in, people going out. This may be the Cape League, but everybody is kind of on their own schedule. Everybody has their own, idea of what their summer wants to look like, whether it's playing baseball here, whether it's at a different team, whether it's going home and spending time with your family and your friends. You don't know how this roster is going. The roster that we have now probably won't be the same roster that we have 2 weeks from now. And that's important for a guy like Colby Turner to be able to stay ready, to be able to go anywhere on the infield, to do whatever Coach Smythe asks of him. And it's important for this Gatemen team as a whole to be able to rely on him consistently. And if he can do that, and if he can be that person, he's going to see a lot of playing time this summer.
I'm going to talk about someone I mentioned a little bit earlier about not coming yet because they're still in Omaha, Easton Braffigal. Big name, Minnesota Mr. Baseball 2023. He went 7 for 7 in stolen bases, which I think is huge. We have that new infield now. And a lot of guys last year and previous years here at Spillane Field hesitated to steal bases because of that gravel. It's really sharp, it's really dirt. Like, they've cut their pants before. Like, there's been so many incidents. And I think that now having this dirt infield, I think he's going to succeed a lot, both offensively and defensively, first baseman, or outfielder, sorry. And he did great. He's in Omaha right now. He was hurt against NC State. He was hurt last year. So he is a little bit prone to injuries, is what we've seen in his collegiate years thus far. So I'm hoping that we have him and that he's not too hurt. There was a injury on the 8th, but he'll be here, I think, the 22nd as well. Really strong guy at U of A. Really strong guy. What do you guys know about him? What are you looking forward to seeing from him?
Just looking at that 2024 campaign as a freshman, I see 40 games and 40 starts. So even with maybe some of those bumps and bruises that you sustain over the course of a long baseball season, he's able to pencil in that lineup consistently. And dating back to a freshman year at Arizona, he's a guy who shows up. He's able to survive the wear and tear of a baseball season. He's going to bring you, obviously, the speed and that stolen base ability. But when I see a guy who's starting every game dating back to his freshman year at a school like Arizona, it gives me a lot of confidence that when he does get here, he's going to be able to handle the gruel of the long summer season.
And his season this year at Arizona didn't get off to the strongest of starts, but he's peaking at the right time, right? That's something we always like to say in sports, is peaking at the right time. Since May 10th, he's hitting .361 with a double, 2 triples, and 3 home runs. When you're vamping up a college baseball World Series run, when you're trying to make it through your conference, make it to Omaha, win at Omaha, and you're carrying some of that momentum over into a summer season here at Wareham, I mean, that's a guy that I look at that can be an everyday starter just like he was at Arizona, and an everyday contributor for this Wareham squad when you're peaking at the right time.
And this is the perfect time to peak. He's in Omaha. He's in postseason. And now he's coming to the Cape Cod League. I mean, this is the perfect and most ideal time for him to really have that dominant streak, which is exactly what he has.
Absolutely. And when I think about another player who I think about dominant runs in a dominant program, that's Vanderbilt. I know we talked about NC State. You can't forget about Vanderbilt, obviously. And someone in Mac Rose.
Until they go off against Wright State. Until they go off against Wright State. We won't talk about that. We won't bring it up. We won't bring it up to Mac Rose.
We won't bring it up to Mac Rose. That's a good thing because he's probably going to be standing just a few feet behind us in a few days here at Spillane Field. Vanderbilt catcher hit .250 this past spring. And on-base percentage up around .400, so it's a guy who can get on base. And when I think about the importance from the catcher position of someone who can both field behind the dish but can also hit as well, has that lefty power, and a guy who's succeeded at high school, at the junior college level at McLennan Community College, and then at Vanderbilt where he's against some of the top-tier competition in the country, was even drafted by the Rangers in 2024, so I'm not the only one singing this guy's praises, but a guy who's succeeded at all 3 levels he's played at so far.
And that's really strong. He's seen all 3 different levels. He is well-rounded in both experience and knowledge of the game of baseball. And I think seeing it here at Cape Cod, we have a lot of guys that went the JUCO route, now at the D1 level, and even got drafted. So he is not the only one that's in that same position as experience in so many different levels. And he's learned so much. There's so many different coaches, so many different players. He's played with the best of the best and kids that are still working their way up there. He knows what to expect. He's seen it all. And I think he's going to succeed immensely here on the Cape because that's exactly what they have. They have guys from all different levels. They have guys who went D1, guys that have gone JUCO route. So well-rounded guy. That's exactly what you need to succeed here on the Cape because you never know what you're going to get. You never know who you're going to see. But you do know is that you're going to have some serious high-level competition.
And he didn't have to wait a long time to realize that he was coming to Wareham this summer. He did have to wait a while to know where he was going to go after McLennan Community College. You know, Tim Corbin, the Vanderbilt head coach, said, you know, we were fortunate to pick up Mac at the end of the summer. So right before the fall season started, you know, fall ball at Vanderbilt was when he decided, oh, I'm going to go play for Vanderbilt. And, you know, Corbin said, you know, he can drive the ball to, you know, all sides of the field. He comes from a baseball family. He's a great teammate. I mean, all I'm seeing is check, 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 check. He fills every single box that you could want, especially as a catcher. I mean, that's a position that you want a captain, you know, a leader on this team, pitcher, catcher. Those are the two players on the field that touch the ball every single play. When I look at Mac Rose, he could be a leader for this Gatemen team and will be crucial to the success overall on this season.
Absolutely. Well, that wraps up today's episode of Behind the Gates featuring Rayna Majalay, Josh Richardson, Cory Miller. We'll see you guys here in 2 days right here at Spillane Field with Hyannis at 6 p.m.